So now we see, and we definitely see, this is actually a complete bad situation where people need to do more research based on, what I'm saying, these people calling themselves Jews and these people calling themselves Israelis. And then look at the scriptural Bible and you see where you can make the connection of dots of how they created this whole situation. This is why the reason why I saw a guy not years ago I was watching and he was talking about how many of the scriptural Bible books, Holy Bible, Sweet James, King James, or whatever you want to call itself, Leonardo da Vinci's lover probably, and so forth on, Caesar Borgia and them, and he was talking about how the Holy Bible and the different scriptural Bible have been changed over time, where this Bible don't have this in it, and this Bible don't have this in it. He had like 3 or 4 different Bibles. He was a good lecturer, and he was giving good lex, and I respected him on that. The brother was doing his thing. But on one hand, he has to understand the reason why there are going to be changes in these Bibles and different things is because they wrote it, printed it on a printing press with a copyright and a publishing date. You know what I'm saying? So whatever whatever narratives they want to fit to do the criminal shit they do, they're going to use that Bible because that's what that Bible was created to do. It wasn't created to say that this is a true understanding of righteousness or true understanding of a trueness of creation as to what, where, who, and come from. You know what I'm saying? It was all based on the centuries of the 20th century and so forth on when they created Israel and put those people there. Once they put those people there, they gave them support of military might by the United States because that's what you got to do. In order to control the area, you have to remove the people who are there, even the original people, the black people. So the black people was removed from there as well a long time ago, and also the Palestinians who probably came there, invaded as well, and now they settled there and so forth, and many other groups. When they move in, they completely destroying all the people in that area and moving them out, including the African people, as we saw in the Darfur region. You know what I'm saying? Because they want to completely control my ancestors' shit. Everybody wants a piece of my ancestors' shit. And I wonder why. You know what I'm saying? But yet still over here calling you a nigger and a monkey and all kinds of stupid shit. When their people ain't no more than invaders and have never owned anything on this land except invading it and taking it from someone else, and then got a nerve to turn around and say that you are them and they are you, using their religion, their land, to justify a fake religion and a fake God in order to control the world. So this is why you're going to find that every time they want to make a move and control something or give justification to what they are doing over there in the Gaza and Strip, keep rearranging the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Keep rearranging the books to fit their narrative as their control is in having the reverse psychology or psychology reversed on you in your mind based on a matrix. Now, the matrix is inside your mind. Remember, in the movie Matrix, what were they attacking? They were cloning babies and plugging their brains directly into their brains into the matrix world of a computer world. Same thing they're on right now. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not careful, you're going to find yourself there, especially with the opening of the factory, of that robot factory that just opened up, and the quarantine laws that they just signed. The article 2.13. If you read that particular article, you'll see what I'm talking about. So we have to start looking at this thing from a better perspective. You have many other people who believe that they can laugh this off, joke this off, and everything is so funny until the day come when it happens, and then you have the weeping and the wailing and the gnashing of teeth, and then running to people like us to try to say, what should we do? Or killing them off so that you could take over, but eventually that will turn back around on them. So we know that the changing of these different books that were written based talking about the Bible was only made to pass through the minds of the people by force through generation and generation and generation and generation and generation. How else would people be voting for a Democratic Party or even supporting something like that as a cult, as black people, which put them in slavery, brutalized them, murdered them, hanged them, raped them, and did every fucking thing you could see under that political bob, and you're gonna still go join something like that? How is that possible? Because of the simple fact, over generation and generation and generation and generation and time, you know what I'm saying, and manipulation and psychology and this and that, and people selling out their own people and all this different stuff, you know what I'm saying, generations think that that's the right move. It's the same thing with the religion. They believe the religion is real. You know what I'm saying? Or what they're talking about in church every Sunday is real. And they're still trying to use that matrix on people's mind. So over generations and time, you could understand how a lot of black people somehow was manipulated after LBJ pulled that trick with the Black Caucus dummies and the civil rights leaders and shit to manipulate our brains and start changing this thing around to where you now were believing in them and not your own. You know what I'm saying? Nor forming your own anymore. So a lot of this is due to the fact, same thing go for the whites too. The whites, instead of forming a true political base, they still were based on the fact of racism and thinking that they're superior. You know what I'm saying? Which is garbage in itself. Because you still have to bust a shit, take a piss, and this and that, and they're much more intelligent people than everyone else. Just like I'm intelligent, you're intelligent. It might be somebody way intelligent more than us. You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with your greedy ass and your jealousy? Doesn't make sense to me. So we have to start looking at this thing from a better perspective.
In the Moscovia prison in Jerusalem, who was raped by his prison guards as part of his interrogation. This report came to the State Department's attention. We looked at it, we considered it valid, we raised it with the government of Israel, and the next day after it was raised by the State Department, actually by MC Jerusalem, with the government of Israel, the IDF, the Israeli security forces, went into the charity's office, into Defense of Children International Palestine's offices, and ransacked it, and several months later declared them and several other Palestinian NGOs a terrorist organization. I think sexual violence is such a horrific event, and we need to condemn it wherever it happens, whether it happens in the kibbutzes of Israel or whether it happens in the prisons of Israel.
Josh Paul, veteran State Department official who worked on arms deals and resigned in protest of a push to increase arms sales to Israel amidst the Gaza bombardment. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. As we turn now to look at how the Biden administration is facing widespread condemnation around the world for vetoing a UN Security Council resolution Friday calling for a Gaza ceasefire. The Palestinian UN envoy Riyad Mansour criticized the U.S. veto.
It is disastrous that the Security Council was again prevented from rising to this moment to uphold its clear responsibilities in the face of this grave crisis, threatening human lives and threatening regional and international peace and security.
The U.S. Deputy Ambassador to the United Nations, Robert Wood, defended the U.S. decision to veto the ceasefire resolution.
Imagine that.
The United States engaged in good faith on this text. We proposed language with an eye toward a constructive resolution that would have reinforced the life-saving diplomacy we have undertaken since October 7, increased opportunities for humanitarian aid to enter Gaza, encouraged the release of hostages, and the resumption of humanitarian pauses, and laid a foundation for a durable peace. Unfortunately, nearly all of our recommendations were ignored, and the result of this rush process was an imbalanced resolution that was divorced from reality, that would not move the needle forward on the ground in any concrete way. And so, we regretfully could not support it.
The United Nations General Assembly will hold an
Full
emergency
of shit.
session on a Gaza
Full
ceasefire
of shit.
Tuesday to talk more about the U.S.
Because you
veto
know
of the
Israel
UN
don't
Security
belong
Council resolution calling for a
Talking about
ceasefire in Gaza. We're joined by
they were
Shibli
in
Tahami,
Egypt
professor
building
of peace and
pyramids and
development,
Moses
University of
made them.
Maryland, also
That's a
senior
lie.
fellow at the Center for Middle East Policy.
That's a lie.
He's co-editor of the book, The One State Reality,
He wrote
What
the book
is
in order to
Israel,
do the garbage
Palestine?
which you are
Professor
doing to
Tahami,
the
thanks for
people.
rejoining us. Talk about the significance and the reaction to the U.S. veto of the Gaza ceasefire resolution.
You hear that?
Well, it's an extraordinary act. I mean, think about it this way. Whatever the representative of the U.S. says, there were 13 members, including pro-U.S. members like France, who voted for the resolution. Only one other country did not vote for it, abstained. That's the UK sticking with the U.S. So think about it. This is the U.S. trying to take a leadership role globally on many issues, including Ukraine, and it goes against a global consensus on an issue that is humanitarian. This resolution didn't call for an end to the fighting and a ceasefire.
Of course not. After creating it and putting it there,
every international human rights organization
he was young to now created that, put it there.
I talked to two heads of 8 organizations just last week.
And wrote a Bible to back it up.
It's impossible to address the humanitarian crisis in Gaza without a ceasefire. You can't just trickle it in. The needs are so massive that you need a ceasefire to deal with that. If you look at it also from the point of view of even American public opinion, you have a majority of Americans, according to polls, who support a ceasefire. You have, from the president's point of view, 2/3 of Democrats who do not approve of the Israeli military action in Gaza. And it's not just Democrats.
I don't approve of them being there
essentially
at all.
2/3
and
of
take that stupid name with you.
People of color, as Gallup polls them, including African Americans, Hispanics Americans, Asian Americans, Native Americans. You have a majority, 2/3 of young people of all types, not just Democrats, who disapprove of the operations. You have a majority of women. Essentially, every major constituency of the Democratic Party, the President's Democratic Party, who wants this, and the president goes against it, against it and the international community. Think about what that does to America's standing in the world, let alone obviously to continuation of the death and destruction in Gaza. And I want to say here that it is the puzzle for me as somebody who has known the president before he became president, somebody who's been watching, and I'm a realist in terms of how politics take place. I'm still shocked by the degree to which this decision that has been taken vis-a-vis this particular crisis after October 7th has been a personal decision by the President of the United States. It was really acting on his preferences, his beliefs, rather, it seems to me, than the consequences for American foreign policy and for America's national interest. Which have been huge from the beginning. It could have been anticipated
he said
that his massive support and the backing of this big idea of destroying Hamas was going to lead inevitably to mass destruction in Gaza. And it was going to, therefore, also bring possible blowback on the U.S. because the U.S. now is seen as a sponsor of this war, as a party to this war. There's a danger of blowback that would be unfortunate, devastating across much of the Arab and Muslim world that we see now. There's also, of course, the chance of escalation that we see in Lebanon
against the people that were there already before
perhaps even bringing Iran in a way that would be hugely detrimental to American interests and draw the U.S. in. And the idea
there was always in. They created it. Joe Biden and the rest of
Israel's right to self-defense.
All those years he's been in government.
Israel has a right to defend itself. Every country does. But to give that government to define what is right of self-defense when you know there are members of this government who want a lot more than self-defense, including things that are at odds with American interests, that are at odds with American values, to give them license to do so, including the possibility of drawing the U.S. into war with Iran. That's the thing that seems to be shocking to me as an analyst viewing this episode in American foreign policy.
Shibli Tahami, thank you so much for spending this time with us, Professor of Peace and Development at the University of Maryland, Senior Fellow at the Center for Middle East Policy. Next up, we speak to a doctor in Gaza.
Get
Stay
him
with
out
us.
of the White House. Him, Nancy Pelosi, and anybody else. Chuck the Doc Schumer. That goes for AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Cortez. Get rid of Letitia James. Get rid of Alan, the nutcase, fat ass, dumbass Braggs. Get rid of the LGBTQ garbage. Get it out of our government and take BLM with you.